Hi, I'm back. Okay, we were talking about limit orders when you want to take a more active role in how your trades are conducted, okay? I want you to think of limit orders as being something proactive, okay? You're sitting back, you're not in a panic, nice and easy. I'm going to say that this is the range in which I wish to operate on this stock. We're using Verizon. We're assuming that you own 1,000 shares at 47, that you bought at 47, okay? And let's assume it's trading at 47. Now that means if it hits 52, you're going to set this goal for yourself if you're like me. You're going to say, damn the torpedoes, if it hits 52, I'm going to sell it and lock in my profit. Okay, what is that? That's $5 a share. But you do not want to sell for any less. Okay, so 52 is your magic number. If it's 52 or above, you'll sell. If it's not quite 52, with the limit order, you're directing your broker to not accept it. Okay, he or she can only do 52 or above. That's what a limit means, the limit order. And we're focusing on the sell limit order, okay? So sells and buys operate differently. So you're going to tell your broker you want to place a sell limit order for 52, okay? Now she can't do anything less than 52. She can only sell at 52 or higher, okay? All right, not below, okay? So that's part of the envelope you've defined for your stock, okay? It cannot sell for less than 52. That's how you're going to be sure you lock in that profit. Now that means that she might be able to sell a portion, but if the price before she sells it all softens below 52, she won't. So that means if you've got 1,000 shares to sell, you might sell at 52, you might sell it higher. You will not sell at anything below, but that means that she might sell part of your shares above, and before she can find a buyer for those shares, the price might soften below 52, she can't sell them. Okay, that's how a limit order works. Okay, you're assuring yourself of that price. I want you to think of limit orders as something over which you're taking active control. You're strategizing, you're managing. Okay, you are not reacting. We'll deal with reactive situations later. Okay, I want you to remember that your limit order is in line in an order book. Okay, I discussed that order book on page 92. So you are in line. The price can change before your execution comes up. The execution may take place completely for the number of shares you want to sell or buy or less. But you're in line. There are people ahead of you, and there have to be willing buyers or willing sellers on the other end of that order book for your trade to happen. And in the time it takes you to move to the front of that line, things can change, ladies and gentlemen. A buy limit order works the same way. You can say, I don't own any Verizon, but I want to buy 1,000 shares, but I'm setting myself a buy-in point. I don't want to buy it at 47. I think that's too expensive for Verizon. So if the ask price drops down to as low as 45 or lower, then your broker is authorized to buy for you. All right? So it's not quite the same as a sell. A sell has to be at your point or above. A buy has to be at your point or below. Otherwise, your best interests are not being pursued by your broker. Okay, so your buy order will occur completely or partially. It could be a partial buy, and then the rest of it might not happen because the stock rises above 45. All right, but your broker's not authorized to do anything if it's not within your envelope. That is how a limit order works. So now I want to show you something very quickly here. This is right out of our text. Please make sure you focus on this. Let me magnify that a tiny bit for you. All right, forget the right side of your screen for the moment. The limit order says Verizon is at 47. Look at the left side. If it goes up to 52 or above, your broker will sell. If you're interested in buying, right now the market's at 47. You don't want to buy at 47. If it drops to 45 or less, your broker with a limit order is authorized to buy. Once again, please look at a limit order as being something proactive, something you're doing to manage your order. Okay, now there are other conditions you can put on a limit order. You can call up your broker and say, I want to place a limit order at 52 for Verizon to sell, or a limit order to buy at 45, whatever. You can place other restrictions as well, and I mentioned these at the bottom of page 92. There are several conditions. I'm holding you responsible for 3 of them. The first one is called fill or kill. You can say a limit order, fill or kill. That means I want the entire amount of the shares, whether buy or sell, to be filled, or forget about it. I want the order canceled. So it's like the little girl in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory who says, I want it all, and I want it now. Okay? Fill or kill means if you have 1,000 shares you want to sell, I want to sell all 1,000, and if it can't happen right away, forget about it. Kill the order. F-O-K. Okay? The second one is IOC, immediate or cancel. That means as soon as that limit price is hit, I want it to happen right away, or it's going to be canceled by both the parties. But in this case, unlike the fill or kill, a partial fill is acceptable. With an FOK, it's going to be the whole thing or nothing. With an immediate or cancel, you want it to all happen right away at your price, and if the whole thing can't be filled, part of it can be, and the rest gets canceled right away. Okay? And finally, AON is the third one, and last one I'll give you, all or none. That means you want the entire order, all of your shares, to be fulfilled, either bought or sold, or else nothing. The only difference with an AON is that the order is not canceled or killed. It remains open, and then later on in the trading day, it can possibly happen then. Okay, so in the first two, something happens to end the order. With an AON, it does not. Okay, it's got to be the whole thing, but the order will not be terminated. All right, so those are 3 conditions you can put on a limit order. There are 2 that have to do with timing. Day orders and GTCs. Okay, a day order means that the order will remain open for the rest of the trading day, and if the conditions are not met by the end of the day, that trading day, then it goes away. So you're authorizing your broker to act, but only until the end of the day. Okay? A GTC, on the other hand, means that the order is going to remain open on the next trading day, and the next, and the next, as long as it's unfulfilled, up to some point that you and your broker, by their policy, will agree upon. They'll only keep it going so long, I believe. So you will tell your broker, keep this thing going. It doesn't happen today? Okay. With a day order, by the end of the day, you're going to have to renew that the next day if you want to continue. Otherwise, it's canceled. Okay? So the first 3 have to do with the amounts of the shares and whether it's canceled or not. The second 2 have more to do with timing, whether it happens by the end of this trading day or whether it can be perpetuated another trading day or beyond. The limit order is about proactive control and management. Now, once in a great while, that means that something will happen where you can't be proactive, you have to be reactive. And that is called the stop order. Okay? The stop order is when something places you in more of a reactive or a defensive position. In other words, the markets aren't really doing what you want them to do, and you have to make a decision about where you're going to sell or where you're going to buy. So it's kind of the inverse of a limit order. More on that after. So the limit order, again, is based on control tactics, personal management, and being proactive. The stop order is more reactive. I want you to think about a defensive point when conditions are really changing rapidly. A friend of mine used to call it when the blood is running in the streets. And the markets are moving in a direction contrary to where you would like them to be. All right, so I want you to think of a trigger point. You're going to place a stop order and place an activation price. In other words, a point at which action is triggered. Hold that thought. All right, assume that you have Verizon. You bought it, you own it. Now it becomes rapidly in play. The price is fluctuating. And in this case, it's going down. Now, when a stock plummets, that's a very tricky situation to find yourself in because There are times when you will want to hold a stock, a good stock, through good times and bad. And there are times where you might want to cut your losses. If you see the price of your stock dropping, you might say, okay, I'll write it out. Or you might say, if it hits this price, I'm out of here. I will limit my losses. And that's a very tough call to make. So if Verizon is really dropping and you have concerns about how fast it's plummeting to earth, you might want to lock in a profit if you've taken a profit on Verizon and you see that profit margin dropping. You bought it here, now it's here, and now it's starting to drop. And you might say, oh, at least I want to take in this much profit before the thing really torpedoes. Or you might say, well, my God, I've already experienced a loss on Verizon and I want to cut those losses. Either way, you're trying to set a bottom limit. So you'll say to yourself, if Verizon goes as low as $42 a share, I'm out of here. Let's get out. Let's bail out. So you're going to call your broker and enter a sell stop order at 42. You're moving in the opposite direction of a limit order, and I'll illustrate that for you in a moment, okay? So a sell stop order at 42 means if that stock hits the trigger point, I said on the previous slide, that's an activation price. When that stock hits 42, now your broker is authorized to do something. Prior to that point, she has not been. But when that stock hits 42, now you've empowered her to start taking action. So it triggers the order, and it's going to become, be careful of this, friends, and we'll talk about this more in a few slides further down the road. It's going to become a market order. What happens with a market order? A market order, as you'll recall, means that your broker is authorized to act to the best of his or her ability on your behalf, but it might not be at the price that you've specified. That's a key aspect of the stop order. We're going to have a way around that later on, but let's just focus on the stop order for now. So your order at 42 has become a market order. It's not a limit order. Your broker will get you the best price that she can. That's what happens with a market order. And she has been authorized to take that action the minute that stock hits 42. It may not stay at 42. It may go lower. It may actually rise higher. But the point is now she can act. All right, now let's assume, on the other hand, on the buy side, you can place a buy stop order as well. You don't own Verizon, and you want to buy some, and unfortunately the stock's not cooperating. It's moving up and up and up, and you want to buy it as low as you can. And you want to get some of those shares before the price goes beyond a certain point, and yet the stock's moving up. And oh, as much as you hate it, you say, okay, there's going to be some point at which I'm going to make a decision to buy the darn thing before it goes even higher. So anything over 50 in your mind is too high. You're hoping to grab Verizon below 50, but if Verizon is not cooperating and it keeps moving up and up and up, you have to make a decision about the point at which you're going to buy into it. And that point in your mind is 50. So you call your broker and place a buy stop order at 50. Now remember, you don't own it yet, and you don't want to buy anything higher than $50 a share. So if Verizon hits 50, that becomes the trigger point. The buy is triggered and you can acquire the stock. Now, once again, your broker has to act in your best interests. Now she can act, and it has to be at the best available market price. This becomes a market order. It might be a little bit higher than 50 if the stock is moving up that rapidly, okay? It might go a little below 50, but it has been triggered at 50. That's the point at which your broker must take action in your best interests. You might not get 50. You might pay $50.70, 75 cents. You might pay $51. The thing is, now she can buy, and she will do the best she can. Remember, a stop without any other specifications, ladies and gentlemen, becomes a market order. Okay? Now, what is a good use for a buy stop? Let's go back to chapter 4. If you are a short seller, if you have sold Verizon short and you see the market rising, well, now you've taken a gamble and the market's not cooperating and you're setting yourself up for a loss. So you can cut that loss, at which you're going to have to buy some Verizon shares to cover your short position, by placing a buy stop. It's going to minimize the amount of a loss that you will take on that badly advised short sale. So that's a common use for a buy stop. Okay? Hopefully you'll acquire those shares at the lowest possible price. You're hoping with a short sell that you're going to buy them at a price less than you sold them short for. In this case, the market's not cooperating. This is a matter, again, reactive, where you have to cut your losses. I hope that's clear. Please study this. Again, these video lectures are meant to emphasize, not to replace the text. I've outlined this very carefully for you on pages 93 and 94. All right, here's an example. You short sold 1,000 shares of Verizon at 47 because you thought it was going to fall to 40. No luck. Instead, the stock does not cooperate. It starts climbing. So you can place a buy stop, and you can, and they, by the way, this is a good term. You stop yourself out at 50. You're still going to take a loss, but you'll limit the amount of the loss. Okay, so when you stop yourself out, that means you're authorizing your broker to take action that is going to protect you on the downside, whether it is a sale or a purchase. Okay, that's stopping yourself out. Once again, here's another use of a buy stop. When the market has been going down and down and down, and you want to really take advantage of that. I don't believe in timing the markets. I've told you why you shouldn't try to time the markets. But if you decide that you want to try to grab Verizon at a low of 30 because the stock is plummeting, and you hope it's going to go lower, but all of a sudden you think, well, Verizon might have some good news and the stock will bump back up. All of a sudden, what you can do is you can enter a buy stop at $34. That will minimize how much you have to pay for that Verizon stock, and therefore you'll stop yourself out on a buy with a long position, as we called it. A long position means you own the stock. Okay, so as all of a sudden if Verizon starts to come back up, you don't want to pay more than $34 a share. Then what will happen is if it hits 34 on the upside, your broker will buy it, and hey, you didn't get it at 30, but at least you'll buy it at 34, and as the stock moves back up, hopefully you'll continue to profit. Those are the movements of a stop order and a limit order. Okay, I'm going to back out of this because it's a little hard to read, but I want to focus back on our text again. It's the same thing. Move to the right side of your screen now. Operating opposite to a limit order is the stop order, because you're going to want to buy in a rising market at a certain point, and you're going to want to sell as the market is descending at a certain point to cut your losses. So there is the limit order: active, proactive, strategic, with an active role by yourself in managing your price points for buying or selling. On the right side is the stop order, where you have to react to a market that is moving contrary to your best interests. So this is damage control. Okay, let's go back to our slides now. I've got a couple more minutes. Let's see what else we can squeeze in before I have to conclude our lecture today. All right, now, the best of both worlds, okay? Limit orders have their place, stop orders have their place. Believe it or not, you can combine those attributes into a qualification that you'll give your broker known as a stop limit order. All right, it's a lot easier than it sounds. Let's see what happens. It's going to take the features of both the stop order and the limit order and roll them all into a neat little package for you, okay? The thing about stop orders that's very unpalatable is that as soon as one is triggered, it becomes a market order. And when a market order is triggered, that means the price that your broker must act at can be different than your stop trigger point. You have this trigger point, this activation price in your mind, but the market's moving rapidly against you, and you want to make sure that it doesn't move too far away from that. So a stop order means you've just cashed your fate to the winds. A stop limit order, on the other hand, is a way that you can constrain your broker from acting outside of your best interests. All right, before I get into this, I have just about run out of time, so I'm going to stop this video right here, and I'll resume it with a final Chapter 4A lecture. Later on today, I will get these posted. Again, I'm going to be away from contact for a couple of days, so I want to make sure this all happens before I'm out of contact. So stand by, a third lecture will continue soon. Bye-bye.